So next, let's go ahead and add this button there. It's very simple, right where we finish. Let's see, we have our column. Okay, right. It's still inside of our column here. Let's create a button. And let's add a modifier. Padding about 3 dp. And I'm going to align everything here, center horizontally. So center horizontally like that. That's another way of doing it. We're just importing, as you see at the top, we're importing this align companion center horizontally. Okay, that's fine. Or if we don't like that idea, we can just do what we usually do, which is going to be alignment, Android compose, center horizontally, right? So, but because that was imported, we can just get rid of that, and this works as well. Okay, it's just different ways of doing the same thing, really. And let's put a shape or add a shape here. I want rounded corner shape. And I'm going to put 34, so really rounded. And I'm going to give colors. And I'm going to change the button defaults colors, right? So to do that, I'm going to use the button defaults, Android defaults there. Say button colors. It always does this. It just goes and gets this whole package there. We don't want that. And then I'm going to say background color 0x FFEFBE42. Okay, and then inside here I'm going to then add a text that will just say save. And let's go ahead and add a modifier. A little padding around about 4 dp. Give a white color of the text, and let's also add a font size of about 17 sp. Import that, and should be good. Let's go ahead and run. Okay, let's go to settings. All right, there we go. Save. Okay, it's very good. So Celsius, Fahrenheit, toggle button is working and everything. So now it's time for us to actually save something. Right now we have our settings view model that we created earlier, so we haven't used that. Okay, and this has the insert, update, delete all, and so forth. Some of these we're not going to use, but it's always nice to have the full picture so you can see how all of this is put together. It's very similar again from first similar to what we did before for favorites, but I did it in a way so you can see. All right, so setting screen here. Where does all of this happen? Well, first of all, whenever we click on our save button, we have this on click or clickable event here, or click event I should say. So what is that going to happen? Well, first of all, we need to go and get the settings view model, right? And we have that passed along here. So we have a settings view model, and is indeed a hit view model, or hilt view model I should say. So what we want to do is, because we're just changing back and forth one item or one field per se, again, we're using database because it's what we know so far, and that's what we have at our disposal here. We're going to use that, but there are other infrastructure that we can use to save small pieces of data, such as data storage and so forth. But we're not going to get into that we're going to just use database, even though it may be a little bit of an overkill, but that's fine. Right, so now I'm going to say settings, get the view model, and then I'm going to, first of all, I'm going to do something very strange. I'm going to delete everything in our view model, right, to start. Because the idea, what we're going to do is, when we change this Celsius, or I should say this toggle button to change to Celsius, from Celsius to Fahrenheit and so forth, when we save, what we want to do, we want to delete the previous setting they may have had added or saved to save this new one. Because in our database, in our table, we just want to allow to have one setting at a time. That makes sense. This is just a way that I figure would be easier to put this together. All right, so I'm going to delete everything from database before anything, and then I'm going to call settings view model again, and I'm going to say insert unit, right? And then I'm going to create a unit. Make sure we create a unit object that's ours, not unit Kotlin. That's a totally different thing, right? So we want the model. We don't want this other one either. So the model, and then I'm going to create that unit. So first of all, we need to pass the unit property. And where do we get that unit property? Well, that unit property is going to be the choice state here. Looks like we have a little problem. Okay, there we go. So the choice is going to be the state that we created, which will contain either imperial or metric. So that also is going to be happening as we click, right? Celsius or metric, or in this case, Celsius or Fahrenheit. So as we click, we're changing this state, which will at some point or at any point in time will have either have imperial or metric. So we're going to use that, right, to pass onto our database, because that is what's going to have the most current state of our choice. So I'm going to say choice state like that. And believe it or not, that's it. So now I'm going to save this and let's run this. One thing I want to show you here is that in Android Studio, you can actually see your database schemas, your database tables, and so forth. To do so, you will have to go to App Inspection. And if you don't see this tab here, it's very simple. All you do is you go at the top where it says View, and you go to Tool, Windows, and click on App Inspection. I'm not going to click right now because I already have it. So click App Inspection, and you should have at the bottom this App Inspection. Now, when you click on that, it will take you a little bit, by the way, and then you will see that we have this database, weather database. As you see, we have fave table, and this is the master table. We don't need to look into that, but we need to look at the settings. Let's click on settings. Let's double click to actually see everything. Notice settings doesn't have anything yet, right? But if we go to favorites, double click, you can see favorite has San Diego at this point. That's all we have in our favorites. In fact, if you go to look at favorites, we should see San Diego. If I add, just a side note here, let's say Seattle again, that's added, actually not added, I'm going to add now. And if you go here, obviously you're going to see we have Seattle, and if you refresh, you should see Seattle there. So this is a really good tool to see how our database tables and everything, how things are being saved, what we have in there. So our settings, if you double click, notice it has nothing now. So let's go ahead and save a state, or a unit, I should say. Let's go to settings. I'm going to go to save Celsius, save. Let's go ahead and run this once again. Go and save. Like this, it should delete everything and save Celsius, which is metrics. All right, so it's working.